Sullivan. I grew up here my whole entire life, born and raised. Had a very supportive family growing up. Couldn't ask for better parents, siblings, coaches, all the way up through high school. I was known for being, popular, kind, sweet, well-mannered. At a very young age, teachers would pull me out of class and tell me, hey, you need to sharpen up because you're the leader in class, and if you act up, the others start acting up. And then I began playing for a soccer team called the Dallas Texans, and we were ranked number 1 in the country all the way from, I think, when I was 12 years old until I was 17 years old. And we traveled everywhere, won some of the biggest youth tournaments in the world. And really, at that time, I had a solid group of friends. My focus was on school, the morals that my parents and teachers and coaches taught me. Mainly at that time, I was focused, I wasn't getting caught up in the social scene. When I was y'all's age, it wasn't as bad as it is now. And that's why I'm here today, is because it's gotten so bad. I spoke to an intermediate school teacher the other day, and he told me, nowadays there's drugs in the locker room. And I don't recall. I was pretty popular and everything when I was in school, and I don't recall there ever being drugs in the locker room, even in high school, when I was in high school. So I think it's very important that somebody comes in and shares this with you, and I have great compassion for it, because I'll get into my past where I ended up falling off. At that time I had solid friends, was on the right track. Going into high school, same thing. Told myself I would never do drugs, alcohol, anything like that. I was always told by coaches that, if you keep up the hard work, you're going to be able to go to school anywhere you want for just about any sport. Mainly soccer and football. And I was, started partying, just drinking. Going into freshman year, I was a 4-year letterman in football and soccer. And then it went from that to, smoking weed on the weekends, freshman year. And then it went weekly. I was smoking before school. And somehow I kept it all together, though. Still made good grades. Teachers, coaches didn't see it on me. Didn't really know what I was doing behind the scenes. And then I'd say my sophomore year, I really fell off. I really fell into the more harder drugs, ecstasy, prescription pain pills, Xanax, you name it. I'm ashamed of it, and it's something that I have to live with every day. And hopefully, no one in this room has been introduced to anything like that yet, but I promise you will. And it's very easy, very, very easy to get sucked into it. Don't fool yourself, don't let people fool you. Just stay focused, trust me. At that time, I was getting scholarships. My sophomore year, I started receiving scholarships from, Stanford, Notre Dame, St. John's, this is all for soccer, SMU, University of Dayton, UCLA, just about any major Division I college you can think of. So I had my goals set on that, but at the same time, I was partying. And like it says in the Bible, I'm not trying to be biblical or religious, I'm spiritual, but you can't serve 2 masters. So you can't really, it doesn't work doing both things at once, if that makes sense. So anyways, at that time I started to lose a lot of interest and continued playing sports, but not to the best of my ability. I started being, instead of the leader, I was late to practice. I would I remember showing up to a sophomore spring football game so hungover I fell asleep underneath the water fountain in the locker room while JV was playing before us. I mean, it was that bad. And, you know, I would say at that point I wasn't really dependent or addicted on drugs, but it was something I would do on a weekly basis, especially on the weekends. You know, I was partying hard, I was paying for it in the morning, but somehow I made it to my games out in North Dallas, whether it was for club soccer. You know, at this time in high school, we had soccer class third period. Straight from soccer class, I would go to football practice after school. Straight from football practice, my dad would take me all the way off to North Dallas off 635 in Hillcrest for club soccer practice. That was probably about 7:30 to 9 at night, so I wouldn't get home till about 11, do my homework, wake up, school. I did that for about 3.5 years. And ended up getting burned out and started losing interest. And then coming into my junior year, my cousin got in a major car accident. He was 19. He was only 2 years older than me at the time. He passed away. And at that time, I was young and haven't really had anything big like that happen in my life so I didn't really know how to handle my emotions, I guess. And I'm not justifying this as an excuse to my actions at all. But after that is when I really started kind of saying, screw this, and really started partying hard, getting into the drugs a little bit more, and really, really losing interest in soccer and football. Ended up quitting football my junior year of high school, which I shouldn't have. My team needed me. My friends needed me. At that time, around my sophomore and junior year, I went from hanging out with the right crowd to what I thought was the right crowd, the cool crowd, but, those people are nowhere. A lot of the people that I was hanging out with before all this happened, one's playing professional baseball, a couple of them are playing professional baseball. A lot went on to play college football, and a few other sports as well, college basketball, like myself. 17 years old, another sign, I started getting tattoos at the age of 17. It doesn't seem like a big deal, especially nowadays. Seems like everybody has them. I was at Lake Ridge High School the other day talking to the athletic director, and I saw a ton of kids with tattoos on them already. Then when I was in school, I think I was one of the very few that had a tattoo, maybe the only one. But that type of behavior started happening at that time. And shortly towards the end of my junior year of high school, I ended up quitting my club team. And my soccer club team, pretty much, I had the coach that told us, if you show up and you're present and you work your butt off for me every single day, every single one of y'all are either going to go pro straight out of high school or you're going to have a Division I scholarship. It was put that way. I don't know if there's any soccer players in here. A few. You ever heard of Dallas Cup? It's the biggest youth soccer tournament in the world. David Beckham played in it. Wayne Rooney played in it. Just about every major soccer player you can think of. When I was a junior in high school, we were the first American team to win Supergroup. It's tournaments where the youth come from all over the world, and the local teams host teams from Japan. I hosted a team from Japan one year, a team from Trinidad and Tobago. It's a huge worldwide tournament. A lot of the European teams are actually professionals themselves, and a couple years older than we were. They were just reserves for the professional teams. And we were the first American team to win that. And shortly after that, I was so much more focused on hanging out with the cool kids and partying. I decided to quit club soccer. I didn't want to do it anymore. 12, 13 years of busting my butt for it, just decided to just throw it out the window, for the other life I was living. That a lot of people didn't know it still at this point. I was still good at hiding it, which was probably the worst thing. I wish somebody would have caught it a little earlier and I would have sought help. And then, shortly after that, I decided I wanted to graduate high school early. Again, I don't know how, but I maintained good grades. I graduated with a 3.8 grade point average. And at the last minute, I decided I wanted to go back and play soccer. Because when you're doing drugs and stuff like that, your thinking is so up and down. It's almost like bipolar. You're like bipolar. It makes you bipolar pretty much. Very spontaneous and what's the word? Just arrogant decisions. And so I ended up graduating. I was supposed to graduate 2008, and I graduated Christmas of 2007. And 2 weeks later, I was at Missouri State University playing college soccer Division I. And so I only had about 2 weeks I didn't get a summer, like some people, like almost everybody else did before college and everything like that, to recuperate and say bye to friends or anything like that. I went straight there, trained, and I spent a year there at Missouri State. And while I was there, when I came in, because of me quitting club soccer, a lot of my bigger full scholarships had deceased, had gone away, like Stanford, Notre Dame, bigger schools. And so when I got there, I was going to be the backup goalie. And when I got there, I quickly became a starter. And we were ranked number 12 in the country in NCAA Division I. And still doing drugs the whole time, even knowing NCAA could drug test me at any moment, and then completely in my career. And at that point too, there was very good possible chance of me going professional within the year. And shortly after that, I get a call from a girl I had dated since I was about 13 years old, about y'all's age. And I met her here, actually, in this school, and she called me and she said, "Connor, I'm pregnant." Well, Connor, I'm pregnant. That's exactly what I did. Yeah. So I moved home. No, it's okay. Moved home, pissed away my scholarship, took initiative to take care of my child, though. And I would say when I moved home, I straightened up. I really did. It opened my eyes, especially when my daughter was born. I had a good job at a bank. I was assisting a mortgage officer, loan officer, and at that time I was still only 19 years old. And right when my daughter was born, the mother took off. So I have custody of she's 6 years old now, her name is Harper. I have custody of her still, even throughout all my mistakes that I'm about to get into. And for a solid year there, I was the perfect role model of a single dad. I really was. Kept it clean, kept it straight, was working full-time, taking care of an infant full-time, had a lot of support from my parents, big time. Couldn't have done it without. And then it just took one night. I think one night I started getting comfortable, or one day I started feeling like I was comfortable with myself, and I was like, I'm doing a pretty dang good job at this whole parenting deal. A couple of my friends had been asking me to start going out and partying in Dallas, and so I was like, I'm doing all right. I got this together. So I started going out to Dallas. That night, hooked all over again. That whole year of being a perfect role model as a father, being drug-free, gone in one night. One night. And the things that I did, I'd say that 6 months of partying out in Dallas, I really don't want to discuss in this room, but I just want to tell you that, it was terrible. Worse than rock bottom, below rock bottom. It's hard to look back on. I got to look back on the past every now and then, but, not for an extended stay. Can't do that. So I try my best to stay in the present. And, after that happened, I started accumulating, different arrests, drug charges, public intoxications. Then when I was 21, I caught my first felony. I caught that felony doing something, trying to feed my drug addiction, trying to seek money. And that's not me. That's not who I was when I was younger. It's not who I was before I was on drugs and alcohol. It's not who I am today. Anyways, I got put on probation for that, luckily. They were lenient with me, and I didn't take it serious at all. I think I lasted about 3 months on that probation. Fell to UA and sat in Tarrant County Jail for 4 months until they decided to not revoke my probation, but send me to a court-ordered rehab out in Lubbock for 9 months. So I was gone from my family and my kid for a total of about a year and a month. The program down there was great. It worked. I felt very confident coming out. They reinstated my probation. I got out early, never got written up in the program, and ended up having my girlfriend move out there with me, which probably wasn't a good decision because I needed to work on myself at that point. And it was only about 3 months down there in Lubbock, or over there in Lubbock, she talked me into moving home, back to Mansfield. She was bored, and my life was actually progressing at that point. And so we moved home, and shortly after that, I guess a year away from drugs and alcohol and everything like that wasn't enough for me, and I sank right back into it. And even though the courts gave me a second chance, when I screwed up again, they didn't. So they sent me to prison. I sat in county jail again for another 2 months before I was shipped off to Hutchins Unit just south of Dallas. Me, and in school I was called pretty boy, this, that, stuff like that. Prison's not for me. Prison's not for anybody. I'll tell you right now, the criminal justice program is not where it's at. Because once you get in there, it's very hard to get out. And they do not give a crap about you or you becoming a better person. When you're in there on your own. It's tough. I don't want to get too detailed into what prison was like, but it's not what's up. Drugs are not what's up. Partying is not what's up. Do that stuff, not drugs, but being able to be lenient with yourself and start, when you're a grown person, if you can control your drinking when you're over the age of 21, do so. If you can, sustain it. But do it after you have success. You have only one life. And by 25, 30 years, that's little more than a third of your life. Get what you need to get done first. Take care, stay focused, stay on point. Because trust me, it is very costly. I was in prison for 9 months, and then I got out. And that downfall, man, it was detrimental. It was hard because, overall I'm a good person. I just made very, very bad mistakes. And they costed not only me maybe being able to be a professional soccer player, but at a time when I was 19, 20, I had a modeling contract out in Dallas. And I modeled for Abercrombie, Nordstrom, Barney's in New York, JCPenney, Kohl's, Academy. I had a lot of opportunity. I don't know how else to get this message through to y'all. I hope y'all are taking this dead serious. When I was in school, they had a DARE program. They'd come in and talk to you and just say no to drugs. Well, I'm telling you, I'm not a police officer, even though I went to school for criminal justice, believe it or not. It's what I wanted to do. You're sitting here looking at somebody who had it all. From when I was born up until high school, I had it all. Could have done anything. And just a few bad decisions accumulated to so much more. And it does it so fast to where you don't even see it happening. Only the people around you see it happening. Next thing you know, you don't have any friends anymore either. And a lot of your family, unless you're very lucky, they'll be gone too. A lot of my family took off and lost faith in me. When I was in prison, I wrote a business proposal on wanting to speak to the youth, and especially people in athletic programs, me being an athlete. When I was in college, I got my NASM. I was a personal trainer part-time for a job. So, my goal is in a year or two to have my own private gym here in Mansfield and personal train and mentor and life coach college-bound athletes. And, I'm back in school, which I'm proud of myself for that. I got about a little over a year left to get my psychology degree. This is my actual first group of people to speak in front of. I've been working with a few individuals, but when I got out of prison, I was still very angry. It was hard to cope with society, very hard to cope with society because it's another world in there. Then about 3 months ago, I started getting it together. I got out of a toxic relationship I was in. That's another thing. Keep an eye out for that. I found myself again. And I've been wanting to do this for a while, and for about a year and a half now. And I guess just last month something hit me. I knew the time was right. I was stable. I was ready to go, motivated, and started shooting out emails to all the coaches I could think of in the area. And I was blessed to get responses. And actually talked to the athletic director and trying to make it a district-wide thing. And I'm just very blessed to be able to speak in front of y'all guys, because I hope if it helps 1 or 2, 3 people in the room, it's better than none. But I'm not just doing this to help y'all. It helps me too. Talking about your issues and problems is probably the best way to, I would say, cure or keep those problems under control. So thank you for letting me speak. If anybody has any questions for me, you're more than welcome to ask, or you can stick around. If you want my personal information, you're more than welcome to text message me. You can get my Facebook, call me on a daily basis if you need any advice, any guidance, anything in that nature at all. You're more than willing to get my personal information. So thank you very much, and thank you, Coach Pringle.
As Connor was speaking, I kind of reflected back on all the stuff that I watched him do here at school. He was, without a doubt, the best kicker we've ever had at Western Middle School. This guy, with his foot, could make a football back up like he was, it would hit. He knew exactly where it was going to go. And that's when we first started kicking to sections of the field. And Coach Wynn would say, "Sully, we need you to kick it right over there, and we need it to back up just a little bit so our fast kids could go get on the ball." "Right, Coach." And that sucker could put it on a dime and make it back up. He was so talented, y'all. And when he tells you that he had it all, look at him, girls, isn't he pretty? I'm telling you, when Connor walked down the hallway, you hear the phrase, big man on campus, BMOC. This guy was. And we all loved him, and we still do. Me now, more than ever. More than ever. Because I did not know till he said it, that this is the first group of kids he's ever talked in front of, and I'm so thankful that it was us. I'm so thankful for that. Because as proud as I was of him as an athlete, and I mean I patted him on the back every which way I could, I couldn't be more proud of him than I am right now. What he has been through, he couldn't tell you the whole story. But for those of you who have it all and feel like you have it all now, you might want to spend some time with him, seriously. Because he's been there, done that, he owns the t-shirt. What he had to do today to stand in front of people and tell you took more courage than anything he ever faced in his life. Connor, I love you, buddy. Let's give him a hand.
Today was an awesome day for Western Middle School as we had one of our own come back and talk, and Connor Sullivan. Connor reached our kids today more than he will ever know. When you talk about someone who has done it, someone who is as successful as he was, to lose it and now to bring it back. I am so proud of him as his former coach and couldn't be prouder that he was here today to do his very first one back at where it all started, where he was the happiest at Western Middle School. We thank Connor so much.